Okay, this calling to order tonight's meeting of the Weathersfield Planning and Zoning Commission. First order of business is roll call and seating of alternates, and I'll ask our clerk, Commissioner Homicki, to please call the roll.
Good evening, all. I'll start with Commissioner Hammer.
Here.
Commissioner Lambroni.
Here.
I'm here. Mr. Brecklin.
Here.
Commissioner Dean.
Here.
Commissioner Drake.
Here.
Commissioner Edwards. Commissioner Giaffredo.
Here.
Commissioner Roberts.
Here.
Commissioner Roccolini.
Here.
Commissioner Laurie. Commissioner Thompson.
Okay. We would like to switch the, under old business, we'd like to take item 2.2. Well, actually, now we have the other people here, so why don't we just continue as listed? Sure. Okay. So item 2.1, just to be clear, that hearing, if everybody recalls, was closed. The public hearing was closed at the last meeting, and we continued till tonight in order to begin our deliberations tonight, and also to have a draft motion in front of us to try to capture the various items. So we are unable to take any input from either the applicant or the public this evening, but this is really just for us to go through things and basically decide what we'd like to see included in a motion by way of conditions. So with that said, Dave, would you want to run through it? What I'm going to suggest is we just sort of walk through so everybody understands what's there, and then once we've gone through it, I think we can then back up and get into any specific questions or issues that people have, but I think it might be helpful just to hear the whole thing through first.
Sure. So I will read it. What we did do is I took all of the comments, and we had started to craft the motion after our last meeting, so I went back through it and tried to remove some of the redundancies and not lose any of the conditions or the protections that we wanted to have. So I think we've got it as in the most concise way that we possibly could. So this is the draft motion. Motion to approve application 2.1, public hearing 223-25-Z, seeking a special permit in accordance with section 5.14 of the Weathersfield zoning regulations for the adaptive reuse of industrial building, including the change of use to a warehouse supermarket use located at 1000 Silas Dean Highway, subject to the following conditions. This is a special permit, therefore we can't condition it. So number one, all outstanding comments of the health district dated, Health District dated December 15th, 2025, Fire Marshal dated November 26th, 2025, and Town Engineer dated December 30th, 2025, and January 14th, 2026 shall be addressed by the applicant to the satisfaction of town staff. I should actually say all outstanding comments. The reason there's two, so the town engineer did have two memos. That's why there's two listed, December 30th and January 14th. Actually, if there's another copy of the motion, I'd like to give one to the applicant's representative. If I could
have one.
Good. I'm going to not be able to read and do it at the same time. Number two, an amendment of this special permit must be obtained, A, in order to conduct any use of or occupancy in those areas within the building designated on the floor plans as vacant or unused, and B, for any change in use, occupancy, or operation of any other building areas from the designations of such areas on the approved floor plans. In addition, additional off-street parking shall be provided as required by the zoning regulations and the commission for any such activities. Number three, no public access to the facility shall be permitted until the completion of all phases of building, site work, and construction as shown on the plans. Hours of operation shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Sunday, with all truck deliveries to occur prior to 10 a.m. Inspections by zoning officials, the building department, the fire marshal, and/or the health department shall be conducted as needed to monitor construction and renovations to ensure completion of all work in accordance with the approved plans. Inspections shall also be conducted periodically by such departments during construction and following the completion of construction to monitor activities and operations within the building to ensure that they remain in compliance with this approval. Number six, prior to issuance of building permits, the applicant shall submit construction plans to the Design Review Advisory Committee for review and confirmation of consistency with the concept and schematic plans previously submitted to the Design Review Advisory Committee and for approval of all exterior signage. Number 7, the applicant shall provide the town with evidence of approval by the Central Connecticut Health District of food handling, storage, and facility operations conducted during the construction and renovation period. Number 8, the lower level proposed phasing plan, sheet A-204, shall be revised to change the designation of the inventory storage area that is labeled room 013 to yellow, indicating phase 2. Number 9, the applicant is responsible for obtaining any other state, federal, or local governmental approvals that are required for the construction, renovation, and operation of the facility.
I guess I might just state, I think by incorporating all of those staff memos and any outstanding issues that remain, whatever remains, is incorporated into this without having to separately repeat what's already in those memos. And I would also just point out that, the application itself, the statement of use that was submitted by the applicant, as well as all the statements by the applicant and their counsel during the hearing in response to questions and during their presentation, is also part of the record, and therefore, we also don't need to repeat all of those details as well. So, but with that said, I think if anybody has questions or comments on this is a little bit of a different situation than our run-of-the-mill Dave.
Is the applicant seeing this prior to tonight?
They're seeing it right now, but I can tell you that much of it is, some of it is, based on statements by the applicant in
I know
terms.
most of the stuff, we reviewed it, but this is the final, well, what we want is the final. I'm just curious if he's
Yeah.
seen that and they're sitting here ready to.
Right, he hasn't until right now. But he seems to be satisfied with it, nodding his head. Okay.
Oh, fair enough.
So,
Just curious.
yeah, but I do think there was an effort to really try to be, close to, to have some connection to the proceedings and to some of the things that were raised along the way.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Does the chair require a member of the commission to formally move the question as presented by Mr. Elder, the town planner?
Sure.
All right, I so move.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Dave Drake is a second. Now, opportunity for any discussion. Tracy?
This question is for Mr. Elder. It came up in the meeting last meeting we had that there were some environmental concerns at the facility, leaking ammonia tanks that have been reported to DEEP, as well as a historic petroleum release that may have gotten into the drainage system, and we don't really know how well or how it was remediated, but my guess would be if they're going to be ripping up pavement in the area where the spill was, they're going to be bringing that back up again. How does the town handle that?
Can I take a
Yes,
stab?
please.
So, Tracy, I think the last, paragraph 9 basically says they're responsible for
Right.
whatever else is required. So I think, I think there would be layers of potential regulation. If somebody is uncovering contamination during construction, then there's rules and regulations about disposal, remediation administered by the state, potentially by the EPA. If you're taking asbestos out of a building, there's rules and regulations about how to safely remove it, how to handle it, how to transport it, where you can dispose of it. And I think all of those other jurisdictions have the ability to impose penalties, fines, or whatever. So we, whether we reference all those things because they are out of our purview, they are still held, accountable and charged. And there are even some things that go to other departments, even within the town, that are not
Yeah, that's
us,
what I
like
was
the building
wondering, yeah.
official issuing a building permit or a certificate of occupancy is the building official's jurisdiction as opposed to ours. So all those processes, should continue to work independently, or the health department or whoever, and I think number 9 was really an effort just to say, let's not lose sight of the fact that just because you're receiving a zoning approval, it doesn't mean you don't have to deal with whatever else may be required. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's very helpful. So the town would know about it and they would take care of it from there somehow.
I mean, I think at different levels, things could be, could come up during the purview of the town, and, whether it's through inspections on site and other things that occur during construction or permit issuance as well.
Thank you. That answers my question.
To that point, Mr. Chairman, I think I would remind the commission of a comment that I made at the last meeting pertaining to this matter, that this commission is making a decision relative to its powers under the town zoning land use ordinances. The commission doesn't have the power to waive or alter or amend such matters as environmental regulations, building codes, life safety codes, health codes, and any other state or federal laws or regulations that are applicable to the activities of the applicant in this building as proposed.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody else have questions, comments? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second, and the motion is to approve the application subject to the conditions that are set forth in the document that's in front of everyone. So,
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
think we have 9 voting members, so everybody will be voting?
yes, 1, 2, 3. I never trust
Yes.
my math.
I did.
6, 7, 8, 9, and that would be correct. Rich, did you want to?
Yeah, I watched the video of the meeting, so I,
Okay, and was everybody else here at the last one, and I think also at earlier ones that go way back, and to the extent anybody missed the meeting, just, I'm assuming you've read the minutes and familiarize yourself if you happen to miss one along the way? Okay. With that said, then all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The application is approved. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Want me to jump into the next one? So,
It's public hearing 210422, 245 Main Street, seeking a change of use to professional office and personal services and parking reduction and modification.
sure. So, as you might remember, so we had held this application over. The applicant tried to accommodate the time frame and respond to the town engineer's comments over the weekend. There was a long weekend, there was a holiday, so the revised plans were received by the town. The town engineer didn't have an opportunity to review them, or did staff, so we needed some additional time. We left the public hearing open on this just to make sure we had the opportunity to have some dialogue with the applicant. The applicant's engineer and the town engineer did meet on Monday of this week.
Yeah, yesterday.
Tuesday of this week, Groundhog's Day, I'll point out. The meeting was effective. There's been subsequent rounds of comments. I did pass those out as early as dated today. So,
which ones are the
look at
newcomers?
the,
This one here?
correct. So the first memo is the most recent one from the town engineer. It's dated February 3rd.
Okay.
And that is in response to the revised plans that were received, and is, you should have 2 communications in front of you. One from the applicant's engineer, Indigo Land Design LLC, dated February 3rd, and then also a memo from our town engineer, also dated February 3rd, that responds to the comments in the February 3rd letter.
Who's responding to who?
Well, they're both. There's been 2 rounds. So, at our last meeting, the applicant had provided a revised set of plans and had responded to the engineer's comments. That was on the 21st, if I got 22nd, 21st or 22nd. And then since then, we did meet, and we have 2 subsequent rounds of comments, lastly reflected in the 2 correspondence in front of you.
In your meeting?
What I've got, there's a memo dated yesterday, February 2nd, from the town, responding?
We have a February,
We have one this evening, Matt, so.
Okay, and then Indigo responded
on February
today,
3rd.
and then the town responded again today.
So is this essentially all that's left
It
from
is.
the town engineer?
Correct.
The February 3rd town engineer
Yes.
memo with 3 items on it?
That's the last one.
Okay.
And there's actually been since email correspondence since then, but largely, if I may, the applicant can correct me, but I think that there's been a resolution to all of the outstanding items.
Think
And there's general consensus and agreement as to how to move forward. But
Would you like to?
Yeah, do you want me to go through the comments, or since they're all resolved to the staff satisfaction, except for just the ones that are left in the last memo? I mean, I can
Why don't you,
spend your time however you want.
why don't you start by focusing on the 3 that are
Okay.
the most recent? memo?
Most recent one was simply to, the town asked to specify the height of the 4-inch bollards, shown in detail to, we're okay with that, recommend let's set the 7-foot tall bollards. That's where the signs are on, the handicap parking signs, be painted black due to their size, and the shorter bollards located near the building can be painted yellow or black. We are fine with that, it's fine.
and maybe the surface, I think the commission would be interested. One of the drainage calculations were revised. One of the comments was the drainage system and tying into the existing system. And since the removal of the
Well-
garage, the applicant is proposing a pervious surface, brick surface.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was going through today's last
Oh, sorry,
memo.
go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
As Joe had, I can get to that stuff too. The second one is to set the new catch basin frame elevation, to elevation 39.9 feet to provide an appropriate slope. That's fine. And then the third thing is, since the catch basin is being moved, and there'll be some pipe left between where the catch basin was and where catch basin is being moved to, because everything drains west down towards Beaver Brook, I think. They wanted to remove the existing 15-inch reinforced concrete pipe load that's left there. And I think the email resolution that went back and forth was, if it's less than 5 feet, take it out. If it's more than 5 feet long, just plug both ends with concrete.
Can I ask a question? Yep. So this is in reference to the catch basin at the
We've-
bottom of the inn?
We've agreed to do what the town is.
Oh, you're going to move it?
Yes.
Okay. And you're talking the stub that's left over, right?
Yep, yep, because it's at the very end of the line, and so it's just,
Is the relocation of the catch basin item 2 on the February 3rd Indigo letter? Is that what that's referring to?
yes.
Okay. Do you want to, if you've finished the other memo, do you want to just very quickly run through 1 through 9, just the brief, very high level?
Okay, yeah, this was in response to the town's memo.
The earlier memo, right?
Yep. And I've got, I copied a couple of the sheets 3 and 5, just like 4. And most of these reference to, got my print,
Thank you.
I found some 11 by 17 paper. I was
Thank you, appreciate
working
that.
remotely, and I had a printer that does it. The pavers, basically, it's going to, the pavers in the parking area are going to match the pavers on the parking lot to the north on the Comstock and what I referred to as the Comstock and Ferry property. And they are pervious pavers, and they have been the detail is on sheet 5, and then the area has been made more distinct on sheet 3 of 7 for the hatch scales and line width to show where the parking area ends and the sidewalk begins. Item 2 is with respect to the catch basin, doing what the town's asking, moving it, 10 feet or whatever it is to the west. Number 3, just adding the bollard detail on sheet 5 for the concrete filled bollards. That's been added. The handicap parking sign detail in sheet 2 of 7, which isn't part of what I just gave, has been amended. Bollard's not going to be painted black, and 1 for each spot. That's basically with the signs on it. Number 5 was just removing a note that was not relevant. Number 6, on sheet of 7, it's been revised to specify that the possible water meter pit shall be installed outside of the town right away. Item 7 was an inapplicable note has been removed from sheet 5 of 7 to Major Road. The legend on sheet 3 of 7 has been revised, so the symbol for the proposed spot grades match the symbols on the plans. Exciting stuff. And 9, the property survey and photometric plan, existing survey and photometric plan have both been added to the plan set, so it's a complete plan set and added to the drawing list on the cover sheet. And I think that's it.
Dave, is that, so
Oh,
basically,
to update the commission, one more thing, just to update the commission from change from last time. The tenant which we have a lease with, which is the personal services salon, is going to be on the first floor. So first floor, they're all the same square footage, pretty much.
Right.
So first floor is personal services with an existing tenant that's leased. Second floor and the basement is planned for office, professional office.
and just to repeat what we did have a dialogue on at the earlier meeting, you're seeking, so it's the personal services and professional office with the understanding that if you ever wished to have medical office, that would require additional parking requirements as well as an amendment of a
Yes,
special permit.
and my understanding is it's, professional or office.
Right,
I
like
mean, they're
lawyer
pretty much the
or-
same category. It could,
Right, medical is the
Medical is different, I know,
category,
but I mean, it
right,
could be-
and then we'd have to open up the
a
special-
non-professional office.
We'd have to open up the special permit in order to deal with the parking
Understood.
issue as well. Okay.
And the building, the property owners worked with the town and architect because the elevator is not needed because of, it's grandfathered. So that's part of the reason that the second floor tenant is down, can be down on the first floor.
Okay. So quickly, just Dave, so basically from your perspective, we would just have to be referencing the February 3rd town engineer's memo and the 3 items that are there, right? So that those are there, and the applicant's attorney has already said that they have no issue with any of them, but we would want to reference them. Pete?
Dave,
Well, the issue, the clarification that the pipe may be filled in if it's longer than 5 feet is why the email strings went.
Sorry.
The 3 items on the February 3rd memo, the last one is he said to specify removal of the pipe. And when they went back and forth, the town engineer said if it's longer than 5 feet, what's left, you can keep it there, just plug both ends.
You were there too, right?
That is subsequent, but I do have an email correspondence that says, it appears that most of it will be located within the excavation limits of the catch basins anyway. However, if the pipe length too remain, if the pipe length remaining exceeds 5 feet, it can be plugged on both ends with block and mortar. Otherwise, I prefer to have it removed in its entirety.
I think that was a nod to cost because you're basically digging up here, and if it's a big stretch, you won't have to dig up the whole stretch. But if it's 5 feet, he's like, just dig it up.
David, I think you asked for some other things, if I remember correctly, like hours of operation was one of them. Have you gotten all that information?
No, I was going to mention that, but I have not. And there was in the statement of use originally, there were 3 uses, and I think there was 1 potential hours of operation.
I think it was more or less 8 to 6, Monday to Friday, every Monday to Saturday, and by appointment
And the
on
reason,
weekends.
thank you for
And
saying that.
Sundays.
The reason it's important and the reason I asked is because we are modifying an existing special permit, and the existing special permit did specify the hours. It was a different business, but they were going to be limited to 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. with additional provision that outdoor dining. So that's one of those things. I want to make sure we understand, what's going away, what's being modified, and so.
Do we have that clarity now? Or not?
We did not receive the hours of operation for the 3 different uses.
Put it part of the motion.
Yeah, if we need to. Yeah, that's, just want to make sure we cover it, that's all.
Right. Was there, I thought there was some testimony by the prospective personal services tenant, at least in terms of what she intended. I'm not 100%
I can't
sure that I
remember. May-
remember
maybe,
but it wasn't going late into the night. It was like.
No, I would just ask for reasonable business hours for, for personal services and, and somebody in the professional office may be there by 7, and probably out by 7. And
So Attorney Cleo, what do you think we should specify for hours of operation so that you can do business here the way you want to?
I'd say 7 to 7.
7 to 7
7 to 7.
for both uses.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember somewhere on your earlier filing, the word medical appeared. I don't remember where,
That's-
what. Yeah, but that's.
Would have been an error, I would say, yes.
Okay.
I have a question for
Yes.
the applicant with regards to the hours of operation. The hours that you're suggesting, 7 to 7, that would be the hours in which there would be customers or clients on site, not necessarily the hours in which employees may be occupying space within the building.
I'm sure if you have a lawyer and he's working at 8 o'clock, the town's probably not going to come out and.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting
to
at,
worry
is,
about, yeah.
you can have an occupant, a tenant, or an employee of
The
a
cleaning
tenant,
staff or whatever, yeah.
right, occupying it
I
later
take it
than
that way, too.
But the hours that you're talking about are essentially hours of operation for customers, clients, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay. Does that sound
Customers
reasonable
and
to the
clients,
commission?
Yeah.
Good point.
Thank you for the
Any other
clarification.
commission questions?
I just was curious about something. I don't know if David would have the answer to this or if you had correspondence. So before, the previous engineer said he didn't want to move, didn't seem necessary since the previous special permit didn't require moving the drain. And so I guess the catch basin. So I'm curious why we landed back on this. Is this because the additional runoff from driveway, or just?
In short,
Long-
without going into too much detail, the engineer was insistent and we agreed to it.
Okay.
Prior site plan had
Oh, and there was another,
the prior applicant had proposed to construct 2 off-street parking spaces in an area on Church Street. That would have changed the gutter drainage line, which would have required additional drainage. So this plan, the applicant is not proposing those off-street parking spaces, and there's an apron in a different location. So that changed the drainage. Therefore, and I don't want to misspeak for the engineer, but that change in the proposed site civil design necessitated the change in the location of the catch basin. The applicant originally didn't want to change the catch basin, but the town said, this is our design, a catch basin type, I think it was type L or type C. And so the applicant and the engineer did come to terms, and they are going to do the work.
we thought there was less runoff, but it wasn't a hill we were going to die on. We're happy to.
Any other questions by the commission? Is there anyone in the public who wanted to speak on this application? The hearing is still open. Seeing none, back to the applicant if you have anything further.
I think I'm good. Dave, is anything you need covered, or?
The only thing I will mention, one of the comments was they do have a parking agreement with an adjacent property owner. The original term was for 5 years. I believe it was signed in June of 2024.
Certainly,
And the agreement does allow for it to be amended, subject to agreement of both parties. So I know that the commission has considered off-site parking as part of this approval and as part of the prior approval. So I don't know if and how to recognize that, but that off-site parking was part of the original approval. So does the commission want to see that instrument continue at a certain date?
A couple questions. I think you submitted a copy of it to us. So what's the term exactly? 5 years?
it's for 5 years.
And then a renewal requires, you don't have an automatic renewal,
Not
right?
automatic. No, we certainly intend to keep it going as long as we can.
So I guess, to me, I guess, would we want to consider something along the lines of, if the parking agreement that has been presented to us were at any point in time to be terminated, then, the applicant would need to address the loss of the parking and come back and present to us an alternative plan. But, I think that the application was premised on having that parking, so that would be a material change, I think, where we'd have to reopen the special permit and hear what they propose to do. And maybe we'd also probably want them to report to Mr. Elder if that were to happen, so he's aware of it.
Understood.
Mr. Chairman, then I think then the commission should formally recognize that agreement and incorporate it within, as part of the public record of this hearing.
And it was submitted to us. I don't have it in front of me, but we
It's
have
part of the
it.
packet, apparently, in duplicate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is actually in the packet that we have tonight at our desks.
And it was submitted by the applicant at the last public hearing.
Yes. And anything else, Dave, on your end, before we proceed to close the hearing? Any loose ends? No. Okay.
All set.
Nothing
Thank you.
further, and, okay, thank you. And if, someone could make a motion to close the hearing, and, unless anybody has anything further they want to ask.
Close the hearing.
Motion by Dave Drake. By Rich. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, hearing closed. And now, if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve public hearing 2104-22Z, 244.
Sorry, go ahead.
245 Main Street, seeking a change of use to professional office, personal services, and parking reduction and modification per section 101C13, 101DE, and 62DCD, submitted by 245 Old Weathersfield LLC, with a couple of provisions to start, and I'm happy to hear anybody else's ideas on this, that the hours of operations are to be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. For customer and client purposes. And the off-site parking agreement, which becomes a part of this record, if it is modified, changed, or terminated within the 5-year period that is specified, that the applicant will come back and address any changes or alternatives required because of the loss of parking.
Peter, I would just suggest you add to that, if it's terminated at the end of the 5 years and not renewed, because I think the way you phrased it was if it's terminated within the 5-year.
Sorry,
period.
I meant that. I meant at the end
Okay.
of the 5 years and not renewed. That's fine.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, ideas from others?
I would suggest we add that, no, this is for limited to personal services and professional office and does not include medical office.
Okay,
And then last one, I think maybe you want to incorporate the town engineer's memo dated February 3rd, 2026. And
yeah, that-
and I think my suggestion would be on item 3 of that memo, that we add a sentence that says if the pipe length to remain exceeds 5 feet, it may be plugged on both ends with brick and mortar.
that's fine.
That was
Yeah,
in an
I-
email. that
Yeah,
the planner
I just
has.
thought that they would handle that themselves, but that's fine. We can put that as a condition, sure.
Anybody, Dave?
Oh, no, I wasn't sure if Chris was.
The only other thing that I wanted to add is you mentioned not, the parking agreement being in place, but the number of parking spaces that are included in the agreement, so that if it were somehow amended to be a different number of parking spaces, that the accommodation is still there.
That's a good,
I think
Which is
it's, what is
33.
it, 30?
33 is in the
33,
agreement,
yeah.
yeah.
right, so essentially, I think
So
it'll be.
how do you want to state that?
Well, in the mention of the renewal that that the agreement is for 33 parking spaces, so
Okay.
either, it says I don't remember what language you used for.
I think it was number 2, so if the parking agreement lapses,
Or is modified, or,
right,
or if fewer than 30, if there's any reduction in the amount of spaces, then the applicant would have to return to the commission, report that, propose alternative parking, and we'd basically have to amend and open up the special permit to address that.
Okay.
Anybody else think of anything, or are we good? to go there. So we have a motion with all those conditions and looking for a second.
Second it, Mr. Chairman.
Tom?
One matter of clarification with regards to that. In the reference to the parking agreement should, I think, cite the parties to the agreement and the date of that agreement.
So why don't we add that we're referring to the parking agreement entered into on
By and between.
May 19th. It's by and between Charles C. Hart Seed Company and Nicholas Roman, Roman, and it was entered into
Fully executed in June of 2020.
June of 2020. You're right, although it does say entered into this
May.
19th day of May 2024. Okay, so then that's in the record, but thank you. Any other thoughts, comments? And if not, there's a motion pending. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is, let's go back to the agenda here. I lost my agenda. There we
There you
go.
go.
Thank you. Minute, well, first of all,
I'll make a motion to approve the January minutes with the statement that the minutes are very well done, and it's in concert with the 2 approvals we had tonight. I want to compliment the final delivery that we received.
thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Peter. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, there was nothing on our agenda for new business or other business. We've covered the minutes. Public comment on non-agenda items.
I think he just left.
Okay. No one here for that. Correspondence? Anything?
We do have one bit of correspondence. I'm blanking on the organization's name, but it's the annual Stephen Byrne comes to mind.
Yeah,
It's
the Federation of,
AquaTurf dinner.
Yes, but it's the Federation of Connecticut Land Use Agencies.
things like that.
I will have it in your next packet, so if anyone wants to register for it, we can pay for it. I think it's $70 a ticket. I believe it's March 21st at 7 PM at the AquaTurf.
Thank you.
But I will have that information. It'll be a part of your packet for next meeting.
Gosh,
Okay.
I gotta check my schedule.
So that's it
Yeah,
for
I'd like to
correspondence.
go.
How about staff
Same
reports?
here, if I'm not recovering from
We
surgery.
can drive together, you know?
I think the only,
I'm not sure.
I think the only thing, just maybe a bit of a procedural change that I'd like to implement is, historically, it's been the goal that when the office receives an application, if it requires a public hearing, that we immediately set the public hearing for the next available time. And I think we have seen, and I will not note any particular application, but several times over the last few months, we have received an application that's, it could be considered complete by some. Maybe there's old plans that, after review, when someone comes into the office, they deliver an application, they pay a fee, they give you pieces of paper. It's not until you have time to look at it to determine if it's complete or not. So one of the things that I would like to suggest and I intend to implement is that after we receive the application, I suggest we not immediately set the public hearing until the staff has had a chance to review it. And also, for some applications, it may take, our goal, we do have a very good town engineer, the fire marshal, they're good, they do as much as they can, but sometimes you have a very complex application, 2.5 weeks is not enough time to fully review it. So there might be more complex applications, which I think to everyone's benefit, rather than having the applicant come and present a partial or an application that doesn't have all the information that we haven't thoroughly looked at. I think it actually is a more efficient process to allow some more time for the staff to look at it, maybe have some back and forth with the applicant, so by the time it gets here, we don't have 6 different iterations of revisions to staff comments. So that is one of the things I would like to propose we do.
And I guess from my perspective, I think that makes sense, and I think ultimately leads to a more efficient process for everybody, including the applicant, the public, and town staff. I mean, I think we've been, those situations where right up front, things are not all there and so on and so forth. I think it makes it tough for everybody, and I think when you have a chance to vet it and maybe even meet with the applicant and they can respond to some comments before they ever get to us, I think that improves things. But what do other people feel, Dave?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but my only concern is we've been doing it this way for how many years? I don't know. My point is, if the staff people don't have a date and the applicant's got to get moving, then the staff guy goes, well, but we'll do it when I'm done. I mean, we can delay people unnecessarily. That's the only thing. Again, we've been doing it this way for a long, long time. Well,
Right.
Again, I'm not against the change, but we're just changing. I'm not sure why.
And some applications may not
Yeah.
need that, but some do. And, I think that's what we're saying, but I think, Dave will have to work to ensure that things roll ahead in a
With the
productive
shed.
way. Yeah, no, that doesn't make the issue.
I mean, I'll anchor this with two good examples, and I'm not going to use the numbers, but for example, we had an application that the first time that we actually had a complete application with all of the necessary information was the night of the public hearing. And we didn't have a complete application to review. The commission could have very well denied it upon the date of receipt, but the process in Weathersfield is the commission does not see the application until there's a public hearing, and therefore you don't have a chance to review it for its completeness. Staff can, but we could also, I could implement that, but you would not be seeing half of the applications that get to you if it was up to me to determine them to be incomplete. But
Well, let's see how it goes. If we got a lot of complaints, we can always go back and do something different.
two applications, two very large applications, where one of them we
The large
recently
ones are
had,
different, though.
someone was asking for a parking waiver, and the requirement is you can't ask for a parking exception, but you have to present a strategy for why the waiver. We recently had a very important application that was not part of it.
Right, and to me, that would be a good example, I think, of why should we even begin hearing a request for a waiver if they don't have what's required to support it. But I think you just have to judge it case by case.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be all of them. Some of them are going to be easy, some of them, but some of them, when they come in complex, I think it behooves everyone. I think we end up having more dialogue and there's more discussion that's unnecessary just because we don't have a complete picture of what's being proposed. So, and I think that actually would allow me and staff to have more of a dialogue before it gets to the commission.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, you're legally granted 65 days to open the public hearing from the time you get it. And if you can efficiently use that time to reduce the number of engineer comments from 31 to 5, and get everything that we need to be able to move it along in one night rather than 6, I think everybody's better off.
Yes, I agree. I'm hoping to get there too. I would like it to get here so that the majority of the questions are answered, and we're just dealing with the commission's comments and questions, and those of the public.
And the fact that the timeline that's stated in the statutes does provide, a definite period of time for review and making determinations of that sort, I think provides a good basis for the town staff to act and not to unreasonably, hold it up for consideration, which I think is what was the opposite side of looking at this sort of policy change. So I tend to agree with what the town planner has proposed.
Try it. If it doesn't work, we can always adjust.
But
Can't argue with it. In the same regard, we had 2 sensitive issues come up today. We've had a couple public hearings on both. Sometimes it's good to have that second and third public hearing, but definitely, David, I think it's all in your hands.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I'd like to just tell everyone that I made a short little speech at the Chamber of Commerce get-together. I think it was last week, or the week before, I forget when it was. And just some interesting facts. I went through our history throughout the year, and we had 22 applications that involved, private matter. If you just discount what town issues were or administrative issues, there were 22 private. of the 22, we approved 21. I mean, that's a pretty good approval rate. Of the 22, 80% of those were what I would call a business issue, which that crowd was interested in, because it's all about business in town. So what I was trying to point out to them is that, the town has changed considerably. I mean, last time I was on this commission was almost 40 years ago. You remember that, Rich? And, I mean, you look at what we were doing 40 years ago was basically reviewing subdivision plans. It was basically right of approval and just reviewing site plans. Now, of the 22, the majority of them were special permits. So it's almost like we're in a special permit mode now, almost uniquely, especially with businesses, because it's adaptive reuse of a lot of the properties. So to that point, David, I mentioned this to Dave, is maybe we can have people come to us informally, because special permits can be arduous for some of these guys. They spend a lot of money, and then if it doesn't fly because it's just not the right thing, it'd be better if they came to us beforehand and suggested, here's what I want to do, and we can give them some feedback, so we can give them some guidance. If we could encourage some of these special permit business people to do that beforehand, I think it would be to their benefit. And it would be better for us to hear what they have in mind, to see if it makes sense to us.
Right there, because so guys didn't spend a lot of money before we just say, forget about it.
Exactly.
When I was involved in, real estate development, construction, et cetera, I always made it a policy practice for the group I was involved in, that before we would make any application, or if we were even just interested in looking at a possible town or municipality to site a project, we would approach the town officials, particularly building, town planner, those folks, to review what we were looking to do. And then once we had gotten through that step, we would then develop at least schematic plans and run those by the town officials informally before we would make any formal application. Because that enables a lot of questions and issues to be handled up front, and being able to, for the town planner, as sort of the lead town official in dealing with such issues, to encourage him to make that that capability or that practice a way of doing business within the town, I think would also enable a greater streamlining and greater efficacy in the presentation of plans and applications for this commission or other commissions to handle. I would encourage the town planner to encourage developers to kind of go through that kind of process.
I think early on, the basics, that somebody who wants to do something ought to understand exactly what applications would be required and what they involve, and are there particular sensitivities in a certain area of town where other people have filed similar applications, and so on and so forth. I agree with you, Tom. I think you can learn a lot with those discussions with staff, and potentially, an informal with the commission at some point as well. And I think we've done that very effectively. For many people have chosen to come to the commission for informals, and I think it's been helpful. I think some of them resulted, the answers have been different sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but I think it helped the process. So, yeah, I would think that would be great if you can try to encourage that, Dave.
Just to be clear, there's people, we have developers, potential developers come into the office and meet with staff on a regular basis, but are we suggesting also have applications, pre-applicants before the commission?
Well, I think you should be.
I just
They're
want to make sure.
serious. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure, because we're happy to entertain them. I bring that up The only thing I would mention is just, we get training all the time, land use training, and one of the, I would be interested to get some guidance and to share it with the commissioners, with the commission, because I do know that while we value the opportunity to hear the application concept, and while the potential applicant values the feedback given, I do know that there's certain information that we don't want to, and I don't know the best way to say it, but we don't want, the commission shouldn't be biased in its vote from the information. And I don't quite know where that line is, but it would be good that we just have some standard operating procedures for what information we can exchange without giving a clear
I think the
decision.
key of it, and I think the statute provides for it, is you can have informals, but, it's goes eyes wide open. It's not binding on the commission. If people say positive things, then it doesn't mean they automatically have to approve something. And again, I think what we have tried to done in the past is make that announcement in the beginning. It's for informal purposes. It's to try to see people's comfort level, get you some general feedback. But of course, if you come in with a real application, then there's going to be all kinds of extra details that we'd be looking at.
The Church Street, the music thing guy.
Yeah.
He came in like that. Remember, he came in with like nothing. He just said, hey, it's just, and we all said, yeah, just go ahead.
Right, and I think I've, and
Came with his rough
Yeah,
plans,
that's-
which is
that's-
smart. That's a good
exactly.
deal.
yes.
And the other one that we kind of poo-pooed, and I think it was wise for the guy to come. Remember, a guy came and wanted to put a car wash on the town center, and we said, well, I'm not sure that's going to work out here. And so he saved a lot of money by not coming formally with that.
And there are others I can't even remember, but I think, I think it's been a good process.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we remember to be careful not to say, don't even bother coming in here with that application.
That's good. We're going to have some practice as the next meeting. I'm expecting 2 pre-applications, so I would like to craft a bit of a statement to read at the beginning of it so that everyone is aware of what is what's being said and what what the implications are of anything that is said. So,
All right, it doesn't look like we have anything else to
Well,
cover.
we don't, except for the next meeting. It's not on the agenda. They're not hearings, but we do have the Plan of Conservation and Development public hearing on February 18th. And we are going to adopt the affordable housing plan. And I just heard this week that there are 2 potential pre-applications coming in to present a concept of an application.
The town council acted on the plan of development?
It was discussed, it was forwarded to them at a meeting, and they're not required to adopt or endorse. They have the option of providing comments, but they're not required to take any action.
They've already,
We did refer to them, and they did discuss it, and we did
Okay.
make a presentation to them, so we
Okay.
have satisfied our statutory
so we're
requirement.
good to go February 18th?
Yes.
And we got time for all the notices and everything? for
Yes, it's
that?
already been sent.
Okay.
David, is the final plan of development on the website?
It is.
Because I was
It
looking
includes-
through that to get some information for the little speech I made, and it looked like there was an old one on there. Maybe I picked up an old one, but I was surprised. It looked like it was an early version that was on the website.
I will make sure they're both there. Even though the old one is still out of date, it's still the current one, so I will make sure that they're both clearly indicated.
All right.
And posted. It shouldn't be buried. I did change the location of it, but I'll make sure it's clearly found from the website.
All right, well, if we have nothing further, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Tony, and a second
Second.
by Tom. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Thank you.
Yeah, I thought so.